Hello, this is CK Prime 7 again, and we are back for another Director's Commentary, this time on Heroes vs. Villains Round 4, which I just released yesterday morning, and a lot of people seem to like this round. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, hold on a second. Hold on. Volume's not up. So we start off with, basically, hold on. So we basically start off with, Scuttle flying around, and then noticing Littlefoot wandering around all by himself. Littlefoot trips and falls, and runs to Ariel's faction. And Littlefoot explains to them that about his mother's death, and that he's separated from his friends. Well, so where are you going? I'll be honest, I'm actually really proud of this, prologue bit. I mean, a lot of people seem to like this bit. And all the characters feel really sorry for Littlefoot, especially Ariel. And they all agree to help him find his friends. Then we cut to a club where Jafar, sent by Mok, goes to recruit Hollywood into their faction. Yeah, as much as I don't care that much for Cool, and as much as I don't really like this character too much, I decided to include her anyway. She'd probably add to some interesting plot opportunities. I will say, though, hold on. I will say Holly won't be appearing that much in Part 1, because I'm trying to save her footage for Part 2 when I do live-action characters. And besides, I have some other ideas for Part 2 for her. Then we cut to this magic faction, which I guess you could say is the good Sorcerer Society, made up of Merlin, Fairy Godmother, the Three Good Fairies, Avatar, Eleanor, and Weehawk from Wizards. And there's also Arthur and Archimedes. And they're all waiting for Robin Hood to get back with some news of the war. And yes, that does give away the group of heroes that Robin Hood and Little John are trying to meet before they ran into Froglip in round 3. Then we cut to the Royal Council, which is led by King Stefan and King Hubert from Sleeping Beauty, consisting of the King and the Grand Duke from Cinderella, Prince Philip, Sir Ector and Sir Kay from The Sword and the Stone, there's King Papa from The Princess and the Goblin, King Morpheus, Nemo and Camille from Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland, and King Gerald and Princess Tigra from Fire and Ice. And then there's King Haggard from The Last Unicorn. And I guess you can all guess that, yeah, he'll be the traitor among this group. I was originally going to put King Arthur from Quest for Camelot and King Nod from The Thief and the Cobbler, as well as Sultan from Aladdin in this group, which I might still eventually. Maybe the next time the Royal Council shows up, I'll include those as well, like as new members of the council. I guess I just didn't have room for them in here, but yeah, hopefully those others will show up the next time the Royal Council shows up and around. Then we cut to Maleficent giving Rasputin his powers for his reliquary, so he can go out to do fights of his own, finally. And the thief watches in the sidelines. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Thrax bursts into the palace, sent by Zurg to go find some recruitments on Earth. Maleficent says that they already have plans of their own, but she is interested in Thrax on his potential and stuff, and she and Rasputin ask if he would like to join them into capturing Princess Jasmine. And Thrax, interested in this petty challenge, gladly agrees. I just love Thrax and the way he talks, it's awesome. So then we cut to our first fight, Aladdin and Mickey versus Rasputin and Thrax. This is probably one of my favorite fights I've done, not just in this round, but in this series. And of course, yeah, I'm playing the Ogre's theme music. from Street Fighter Tekken, I think. So yeah, Rasputin bursts into the palace of Agrabah and goes to capture Prince Jasmine, but has to fight off the two big A-list Disney heroes. You know, I was originally gonna have Hollywood instead of Thrax to capture Jasmine, but I decided Thrax would have been more interesting, especially with the sound bits. I like the face reaction he makes when he sees Goofy using Donald as an arrow. And Pluto jumps in to try to save Jasmine, but he's no match for Thrax.
Follow me, God.
Now both Lion and Mickey have to go save their loved ones. So now we go to Spirit versus Zira. Not much production-wise to say about this fight. It's pretty basic. Spirit notices Zira stalking the herd and goes to protect them. Yeah, I guess I didn't have to do that much editing with this fight because, you know, I'm just using the mountain lion from Spirit's Dawn of the Cimarron as Zira. I mean, it's kind of similar to what Ace Face did in his Tarzan vs. Kaa fight. He used the snake in the Son of Man song sequence in Tarzan, as well as Histar from the television series as Kaa. So yeah, it's nothing really new. Spirit's story arc I haven't exactly fully planned out. I have a couple ideas, like maybe he could join Pocahontas or the cows from Home on the Range. I have a couple ideas I'm trying to flip through here and there. Then we go to Hercules versus Ruber. This was kind of an entertaining fight to make. So yeah, Hades goes to Ruber and asks him to try to deal with his arch-nemesis, Hercules. But Ruber may have underestimated this demigod of a hero. Just what we're watching at the moment. And we get this little mini confrontation between Pegasus and the Griffin. And Ruber just got pwned. Then we go to Kale versus Gantu. So basically, Akima warns Kale and Corso that an alien named Gantu was sent by Zurg to try to deal with them, or something like that. I don't know. I guess they just fear that they'll be interfering with their plans, so they decide to rid of them. I'll be honest. Of all the fights I've done in this round, this one's probably my least favorite I've done. It was really difficult for me to do. I guess part of the reason why it's so difficult for me is because, with a lot of these movies, for these fights I've done, why it's so easy for me to make them is because I've seen the movies enough to know where certain clips are in that film. But with films like Titan A.E., Lilo and Stitch, and its sequels, I haven't seen them enough to memorize where certain clips are. I mean, well, okay, there are some clips I do memorize, but not as well as other films. So yeah. Because in order to make these tournaments, you gotta, not only do you have to know your characters well and the movies well, but you gotta remember where certain, you need to know your movies clip by clip, pretty much. I guess you could say Gantu was the one that tried to close the doors on them and made them nearly suffocate through this, in a way. I don't know. Yeah, I like History Buff. I think Titan A.E. is a very underrated movie. I thought it was really good. And they escape. Sorry, my nose itches. Then we go to Simba versus Sharptooth. So Timon and Pumbaa are out wrestling up some grub. You know, being all Hakuna Matata, can't talk, Hakuna Matata and stuff. But are stopped by the infamous Tyrannosaurus known as Sharptooth. And this is not the same Tyrannosaurus as the Tyrannosaurus from the last round. That's the Tears of Fantasia. They're two different Tyrannosaurs. Yeah, I guess that is Timon's best use of whoa. And a lot of people were surprised Simba, an African lion, is able to take out a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You know, an interesting fact, though, I should mention that scientists say that Tyrannosaurus Rex, its bite was 10 times stronger than that of a lion. So, and yet Simba was able to win. So, yeah. And as y'all know from Land for Time, Sharptooth is not out of the war yet. I just can't bear myself to kill him off so soon, because I think, even though he's just a dinosaur, I thought he was pretty awesome. Then we go to Tulio and Miguel versus Governor Ratcliffe. So Frollo hires Ratcliffe to arrest the two conmen that are out on the street. And also to answer your question, just to let y'all know, Frollo, he's not really in Maleficent's faction. Frollo's a leader of his own, like he is in all the other tournaments. I'll be honest, this one was kind of hard to come up with. The inclusion of Frollo's men was like a last-minute thing. Also, I'm trying to save Ratcliffe's footage for later. Yeah, The Road to El Dorado, I think, is another underrated movie. I think it's pretty good. These two characters, I think, crack me up. And I think it's funny that, interesting trivia tidbit, the actor who plays as Miguel, Kenneth something, I can't remember his last name, but, I personally know that actor for being the narrator of the Walking With series, like Walking With Dinosaurs, Walking With Beasts, Walking With Monsters, all that stuff, you know, those prehistoric documentaries that BBC has done. And the two men get arrested by Ratcliffe, unfortunately. Then we go to Lilo and Stitch versus Kit Mansley, which this is another one of those really hard fights that was for me to come up with, mainly because Kit Mansley does not have a heck of a lot of fight footage. So yeah, this is gonna suck working with this guy. So Mansley has suspicions that Lilo is keeping an alien in her house, and is pretty much threatening her to tell him where he is. But Stitch shows up and does not like anyone harming his best friend. Maybe this was, I guess the whole point of this was just a way to introduce Lilo and Stitch into the story, because, okay, I will tell y'all this. They will eventually join in with the other space characters like Jim and Kale and them other characters, eventually. Then we go to Omar and Friends versus Dr. Facilier.
Allow me to introduce roller skating brothers. Toad, Sleepy, and Zip. These masters both do pee. I just love it when he talks French.
Yeah, the Schleber brothers, always being goofy. So Mock lends Facilier the limo, the Edison balls, and other ways to capture his rivals, Omar and his friends. Again, this is another fight that was hard to come up with, mainly because Omar, he and his friends, they don't have a lot of fight footage. In fact, they don't really have fight footage, I don't think, except for maybe Omar swinging his guitar around at the end of the film, which I'll have to save that for later. I mean, Rock and Roll is one of those movies where the villain has more fight footage than the hero, if I remember correctly. That says something. In fact, I think Mock is pretty much the main focus of the movie. So Castilia uses the Edison balls to pretty much hypnotize Omar and Stretch. Don't know where Dizzy is during all this, but whatever.
I had one to them.
Jeez, my nose is irritating me. Again, like with the Kale vs. Gansu fight, this is another one I wasn't really that pleased with the results of. I think part of the reason is because the way I played Triumph during this. I mean, some people said they liked it, but I was hoping to edit it, kind of like how I edited The Friends on the Other Side, but I couldn't figure out a way, so I just... Oh, it's kind of a catchy song, even though it's only like 35 seconds long. I will say, though, I didn't really get this part in Rock and Roll. It's almost like, as the misogynist would say, a big lift alligator moment. Yeah, Omar and Stretch get stoned off conscience, I guess you could say. And yes, I'm playing more Primeval music. I'm playing Contaminated, which I can't remember what episode. It may have been episode 4 in Series 1 they played this music. The episode where the team has to deal with the dodos and the parasites.
I'm sorry. Oh no! This is my car! My wheels! My voltage wagon! Hey, Stretch, dehydrate. Okay.
And soon Aladdin and his crew meet Omar.
My friends call me out.
Does anyone notice though, pretty much Aladdin, Mickey, and Omar, they all lost their loved ones to villains. Meanwhile, we have Scar and Shere Khan get their recruitments. We have Zira, of course Scar's mate, and Ka, Claude Bandus, and General Walmart. Darn it, I forgot to put Drake in this. Oh well. I guess I just didn't have room due to the time limits. Meanwhile, Cobra Bubbles is infuriated at Kent Mansley for trying to arrest Lilo and Stitch, and so he fires him from the agency. And Mansley's not pleased with this. Then we get to Zurg's faction. So Zurg, Gansu, and Thrax now have 2 new recruits. Zygon and Tyler from Heavy Metal 2000. Yeah, some of y'all might know my hatred towards this villain, but let's just say due to storylines that I will not mention, it'll be spoiling anything. It'll be a big thing in the series. Meanwhile, Hollywood looks over Jasmine, Yum Yum, and Angel and pretty much taunts them. I'm surprised no one commented on Jasmine's glare when she looks at them, Holly, that way. Okay, I will say, I've been getting a lot of comments on the forum. People thinking, the way Mock said that, looking at them like that in that creepy tone, almost sounds like he's going to harass them. That's not what I intended for. I mean, it's not like he's just a creepy old man who's in a room full of captive women and... What have I done? Oh well, but it's not what you think, alright? Let's just say he does have something planned for them, and if y'all have seen Rock and Roll, you probably know what that might be. But these are only the starters of other princesses and heroines he plans to capture. And then we cut to the Horn King's faction, where Dr. Facilier introduces his allies to a new group of villains who wants to join their group. They are known as the Bakshi Bunch, consisting of Black Wolf from Wizards, Necron from Fire and Ice, and Saruman from The Lord of the Rings. Which I will say, I just recently watched the anime Lord of the Rings movie, and it was okay. It was really long for an animated movie, but it was okay. I will say, though, Saruman, he does not have a lot of footage in that movie. He only has, like 2 scenes, and, like, don't really have a lot of fight footage, so he won't be appearing that much in the series, at least in his animated form. And yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people seem to like the Bakshi Bunch idea. I mean, you know, instead of the Brady Bunch, it's the Bakshi Bunch. So yeah. So yeah, that was Heroes vs. Villains Round 4. I'm glad everyone's enjoying my series so far. I certainly am. And I don't know when Round 5 will be out. I haven't started it yet. And I will say I will be busy this week because I have 2 finals next Monday that I have to study for. Also, I think I'll give History Buff some time to catch up on his commentaries before I start working on Round 5. I'm trying to slow down. I mean, I am excited, for showing you guys my ideas for this series. However, at the same time, I'm trying to not show the rounds once every 2 weeks, because the reason why, hopefully, by the time certain movies, like, say, Maleficent, the live-action movie Maleficent comes out next year, I'm hoping I'll be in Part 2 by then. That way, when that movie comes out on DVD, I would at least have a live-action Maleficent to use. So, yeah, that's why I'm trying to at least slow down a little on this series. But sometimes I can't help it. So, yeah, have a nice day, everyone.